We have a great show for you today. We'll start off with, the biggest story really in the country yesterday was this horrific shooting yesterday morning at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It happened as the students were attending Mass in the morning. The shooter reportedly shot through the stained glass and killed an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old in the pews and injured at least 17 other people. Here is a young boy who survived this horrific, traumatizing ordeal recounting the events.
My friend got hit in the back.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay. I was scared that I wasn't going to see her because I didn't know what was happening, really. I was just in shock. It was like right beside me. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. So they were like, the shots were like right next to me. The first one, I was like, what is that? I thought it was just something. Then when I heard it again, I just ran under the pew. And then I covered my head. My friend Victor saved me though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit.
Your friend laid on top of you?
Yeah, and he got hit.
Is this something that you've practiced before?
Yeah, we practice it every month, or I don't know, but yeah, we've never practiced it in the church though. Mm-hmm. Only in school, so it was way different.
What do you want to say to your friend who helped protect you?
He's really brave, and I hope he's good in the hospital.
And what do you want to say to everyone that had to go to the hospital?
I hope you're okay, and I'm praying for you.
That's just, it's really the innocence of it, the fact that any student in this country has to go through that kind of thing. It is a choice. It's a policy choice. There's been analyses done, and this is not news to anyone in this audience, but just for posterity's sake. We'll get to the demographic piece in a second because we know how the Republicans are running with this, but there was an analysis done by the Violence Project, which is really the most frequently cited database academically for these mass shootings. Their qualifications for a mass shooting mean 4 or more killed, excluding the shooter. So, this wouldn't even qualify. But this data is, I think, from 1966 to 2016, I believe. It was over a 50-year period. But they analyzed that over the past 50 years, 20% of the 167 mass shootings in that period occurred in the last 5 years of the study period. More than half occurred after 2000. 33% occurred after 2010. So just think about that. 33% occurred in a fraction of that 50-year period. The study, actually it was from 1966 to 2019. But that's still just 10 years where 33% of those shootings occur. And in 2004, Congress let the federal assault weapons ban expire. It was enacted in 1994 and expired in 2004 under the Bush administration. Republicans let that happen. And you see how the death toll has risen since that period. From 2010 to 2019, the end of the study period, the average was 51 deaths per year with these mass shooting events versus 8 lives in the 1970s. And that's a result of magazine capacity, assault weapons, these weapons of war being on our streets. The shooter was clearly deeply disturbed, as you would have to be to commit this kind of horrific act. The shooter had anti-Jewish, anti-Latino, anti-Black slurs written on the magazine and weapons that the shooter used. The shooter had a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol and died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound on the scene. This study also shows that suicidal ideation is one of the best predictors of this kind of act. And this shooter appeared to meet that criteria as well. What seems to be the case is that the shooter may have been trans. We don't know this for sure, but the data is still coming out, but that has not stopped Republicans from, of course, running with this in a defensive manner, as you were saying before the show, Matt. They need to run cover for their amosexual cohort of support.
I mean, you have to scapegoat someone. I mean, that's the problem with the defensiveness is like, I feel like it's almost running with this trans thing. Like, other countries have trans people. They don't have kids being slaughtered in schools. It's because we allow people to buy. This person had a AR-15.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be allowed. I don't care about permits. Fuck you.
Kristi Noem confirms on Twitter. She says that the shooter, the 23-year-old man, of course, misgendering. I don't know what that serves. I mean, you're already being explicitly transphobic with this rush to blaming someone's gender identity for this, but called the shooter a monster, of course, and Kill Donald Trump was on one of the Rifle magazines, but obviously Noam leaves out the anti-Semitic, anti-Black, anti-Latino slurs that were written on there.
Yeah, like Reddit racism type stuff.
I mean, this shooter was extremely online, disturbed, and had many, many contradictory viewpoints. But the grossest reaction might be Jesse Waters in his monologue last night. Tucker Carlson is embarrassing, I would say, Jesse Waters, who took over for him, and Waters' overgrown frat boy thing isn't breaking through, while Tucker is like a dog with a bone a bit with some of this Israel stuff and exploiting that within the base right now to make a new name for himself outside of Fox News. I guess this is how Jesse Waters is going to do it.
Suicidal transgender who hates Trump's Christians and Jews shoots up kids at a Catholic school, and the media wants to take away your handgun. So how are we supposed to protect ourselves from trans shooters? The media is bad at pattern recognition. We aren't. Just 2 years ago, another trans 20-something walked into a Christian school in Nashville with a rifle and shot 3 kids and 3 adults. They buried the manifesto and locked down the case. We've seen trans shootings in Colorado and in Maryland. They even shot up an ICE facility in Texas. And it seems like half of Antifa's trans. A couple of they-thems just got popped for firebombing Teslas. The mayor of Minneapolis says, you can't say that.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
I don't hate anyone who thinks they're trans. I feel sorry for them. But statistically, the trans population has been prone to violence. That's not villainizing, that's reality. And if you can't recognize reality, you're in danger. We love the American people, especially American children.
I'm just trying to make sure that we have the facts straight here. He was referring to the Club Q Colorado Springs shooting. I believe that shooter identified as non-binary. The Trump assassination attempt was quickly blamed on a trans person, which was not the case. What was the other? Uvalde, but we know that the shooter was a cis male. Yeah. And in fact, there have been some lawsuits against prominent right-wing media personalities for misidentifying somebody in that particular shooting.
There's, you mentioned Nashville as well. I'm not sure about the details of those because, I mean, I remember one, I don't know if it was the Nashville one or a different one, where it was very clearly ironic that the person was posing as trans online.
Exactly. Like, they're these neo-Nazi, or extremely online black-pilled, I don't know if that's
School
an
shooters.
outdated term, school shooters, they will say things like that because they know that right-wing media will run with it. It's a way to demonize trans people on their way out, or it's a joke in their community.
But to zoom out,
Sickos.
this is what the right wing does, and any sort of tragedy that involves way too much access to guns. Look what happened in Minnesota. The lawmakers get shot, and they're blaming Tim Walz. It's how can we peg this on our political enemies? It's just a fascist playbook. How many shootings do we have in this country?
Yep.
Like, I mean, we have the numbers on this. We have an insane amount of data, frankly, a huge sample size.
It's unequivocal, and the polling is there on this issue. It's just that there is not the political will to change it, because even if people in a vacuum say we support gun control measures, they're not in mass driving to the polls based on this particular issue. It's why orienting your political strategy around polling is so silly, because say like polling on economic numbers are way more likely to drive someone to the polls versus say polling on like trans kids in sports, or even an issue like this where there's broad consensus, but there is a both like political corruption angle to it, although the NRA has been defanged to a degree. But now there's this constituency on the right that loves their guns, and they call the shots as a very vocal and loud minority. We have the numbers on mass shooting demographics. Of the 172 individuals who engaged in public mass shootings covered in the database, 97.7% were male. Ages range from 11 to 70, with a mean age of 34.1. The shootings were 52.3% white, 20.9% black, 8.1% Latino, 6.4% Asian, 4.2% Middle Eastern, and 1.8% Native American, which is fairly close, I think, to demographic numbers, although not
the maleness.
Not exactly, except the maleness part. So if we're looking at what is an overwhelming variable on of someone's identity that would cause them to be a mass shooter, over 97% of these mass shooters are male. Now, you don't hear them make that case because it's time to demonize trans people. And we know that trans individuals are not overrepresented in mass shootings as perpetrators at all. Trans people are way more likely to be victims of violence. But just this written in the Reuters article at the end of last year, transgender individuals represent less than 1% of perpetrators in all mass shootings over the past decade, and about 2% involved in school shootings specifically, according to the Gun Violence Archive.
Which, given the degree to which they're bullied,
yeah,
I'm surprised.
Trans people are 4 times more likely than cis people to experience violence, including rape, sexual assault, or just simple assault. The UCLA Williams Institute did that analysis a few years back. Trans Americans behind bars are 12 times more likely to experience sexual violence. And in May, the Trump administration basically stopped requiring that people's gender identity would be counted in reports about sexual violence or violence of any kind, because they want to cover up the fact that trans people are more likely to be victims of this kind of violence and this kind of crime than perpetrators. But this is what's being said on our biggest cable news show in prime time. So that's that.
I mean,
what else is there to say?
Yeah, I think they have to fill the air with something, because people are really upset about this stuff, but the policy is not going to change if they have anything to do about it. So you have to fill the air with something. But I mean, Jesse Waters says pattern recognition. That we rush to, oh, this is some conspiracy about Tim Walz, like the earlier Minnesota shooting, or this is something about trans people. We can recognize a pattern here. These are professional scapegoat hunters pointing at scapegoats at every single turn. And, you know, we got to be too stupid. We got to stop being stupid enough to fall for it.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.